Well, welcome to the DFS Jags PGA Golf Show. I'm Tony Altieri. That is Riku Mukherjee. And we received probably one of the most massive kicks in the nuts last week watching the golf tournament. I'll tell you what, dude, Rick, obviously the process is dialed in. We're picking the right guys. I think when we ran the numbers, we had like 6 of the 8 guys or whatever it was that finished, T2 and T5. We had literally 3 or 4 guys just miss the playoff. Dude, it was probably one of the most tilting weeks from a golf betting perspective that I had in a very long time.
Dude, I don't even know what to talk about last week. We literally had the entire leaderboard between our cards just peppered with winners. Let's just look at our the second place finishers, the guys who finished one stroke out of the playoffs. Cam Davis, Cam Young, Matt Kuchar, Harold Varner, Shane Lowry. We literally nailed 5 guys that finished one stroke back, and we just couldn't get anyone across the finish line. It was looking really good for Shane Lowry for a while, and then he chipped it into the water. I had a nice HV3 ticket. I had HV3 parlayed with some basketball too, and they just couldn't get it done. And then Spieth just comes out, putts absolutely terrible on the week, and somehow wins the tournament. I just don't have words for last week.
Yeah, it was interesting because we had joked in that little text string that we have with a few other guys where I think Chris had asked me like, hey, who do you like the best? And I'm like, Cam Davis at 225. I love Cam Davis here. And like I half meant it, but I also meant it because I felt like he was due to have a good tournament. You know what I mean? Like his stats were trending in the right direction. The off the tee game was getting better, but it was somewhat mitigated at this course. His approach was good, and he just needs that spike putting week because he is so good typically and historically tee to green. He's just been off lately, and it manifested on Sunday, man. He played unbelievable. We had Cam Young. We had everybody except the guys. And the funny thing is, when you sent across the text, you're like, dude, Spieth is going to win this thing. And I think it was like 3 holes into the tournament. And I'm like, there is no way Jordan Spieth's winning this thing. And I was thinking to myself, there's no way that 12 under's going to hold up. And even when Spieth got to 13, I was like,
there's no way 13.
Yeah, someone's going to get to 14, 15. These guys, there's no way that's going to stick. And sure enough, it stuck. I mean, I was like, are you kidding me? I was so pissed off that both he and Cantlay got into the playoff, and we had nobody. We had all these guys there, no one in the playoff.
And that's the other thing. Like, we didn't even get into a playoff. We got the other guy that made the playoff was Patrick Cantlay, and we didn't have him either. No. So the 2 guys that made the playoff, neither of us had, but we literally had every single guy almost that finished one stroke back, and it's just brutal, man. Like, I just can't believe he held up with minus 13 there. And then on top of that, I can't believe he actually finished it off in a playoff. He got really lucky with Patrick Cantlay's ball being plugged in the bunker. But I don't know how he did it. Patrick Cantlay was like 160 yards out, and he chunks one into the bunker into a fried egg, and obviously can't get up and down. And Spieth hits one of his classic bunker shots to win a golf tournament situation. And I don't know how he does it, man. The swing looks weird. The pre-shot routine is just gross. The guy literally cannot putt the ball with shit right now, and somehow the guy comes out with a title. And I don't get it. I have a soft spot in my heart for Jordan Spieth. He won last year on Easter Sunday, where he was in my main lineup. I won $100K with him. 2 straight years he's won on Easter Sunday. So next year, Easter Sunday's on Masters Sunday. So keep that in mind. Jordan Spieth at the Masters.
Yeah, I mean, it was the way that it finished on the playoff hole. I mean, when he hits a bad shot off the tee, grabs his back. Cantlay pipes one, about 40 yards past him. And I'm like, okay, Cantlay is going to just throttle down on this guy. Spieth's hanging on by a thread. And then Spieth puts it in the bunker in a much worse position in terms of like where the ball was in relation to the edge of the bunker than where Cantlay was. And I thought, okay, well, Cantlay's going to be able to get up and down. Spieth is going to have some trouble. And then Jordan almost holes it out. And I'm like, oh my God, dude, I cannot believe this guy. He's just, it just, when things break his way, they break his way. And, here we are. Jordan Spieth wins another tournament. To your point, Easter is the National Spieth Day. So I will definitely, regardless of how he's playing, I will have a bet on Jordan Spieth in the Masters next year.
Yeah, same here. I really don't want to talk about this tournament anymore. And then the bad thing is that we have to go into this week's tournament, which is a dumb tournament to begin with. So, but we're here to talk about it. So,
Yeah, I mean, to your point, there's obviously there's opportunity. There's a lot of people who are taking the week off. There's people that will have less exposure, that will be doing less things on DraftKings, and so that means more opportunity because there's still prize pools, there's still bets to be made, and this is probably one of the more difficult ones to figure out from an analytics perspective. Where I think a lot of more people are playing narrative. They're looking at anything but statistics because of the format at this course. But let's go ahead and get into it. The course and the tournament. Oh, it's not the RBC Heritage. That's for sure. See, this is the problem, Rick. When you have somebody that is producing, doing all of the the data and analytics, looking at this, and then trying to talk on this deal. This is how mistakes are made. It is the Zurich Classic.
Zurich Classic. Yeah.
It is TPC Louisiana. It is a par 72, 7,400 yards, Bermuda greens, last year's champions, two-time champion, Cam Smith. He's only played in it twice. It's only been held 4 times. Cam Smith has won it both times he has participated in it. Key stats for me, ball striking, off the tee and approach game. You want guys who are solid there, regardless of what the format is. Opportunities guys gained. Guys need to be able to score. Birdies or better are going to be huge. Approach, short game, and then team chemistry, right? That intangible that everybody wants to find. Guys who, whether they're guys who've known each other for 15, 20 years, they went to college together, or guys who've become really good friends over the years. People want to choose guys who are both playing well and who are comfortable with their partners. In terms of format this week, we've got a slide here direct from the tournament. It is a combination of 4-ball and foursomes. They will rotate between the two formats. Thursday and Saturday will be 4-ball, which is basically you take the lowest score from the 2 guys on the team, and that is what your team cards for their score for that hole. And then on Friday and Sunday, it's called foursomes, but it's better known as alternate shot. 33 of the, I believe it's 80 teams will make the cut this week. And in case there is a tie, we will go to a sudden death alternate format in the playoff hole. So as much as possible, this thing is going to play out. I don't want to say similar to Ryder Cups, but I mean, the format is the same. You're going to have guys that have competed in tournaments like the President's Cup and the Ryder Cup. So experience in this tournament. You want guys who have participated in these kinds of tournaments and done well on the PGA Tour, at least in the professional ranks. I mean, anybody that's played college or come up through and played mini tour golf, these events happen more prevalently. So guys are going to have experience doing that, but it might be quite some time. So riding a guy who is in good form and has performed, if he's got history at this course, I think is key. And then again, I think you just got to pick your lane, man. I mean, figure out who you like and where you're going to go and just put your chips there. And I guess the other advice I would get from a betting perspective is maybe leave some money on the table to live bet some stuff on Friday and Saturday, because there are going to be some teams that nobody is on at super high odds that are going to make a run at this thing.
Mike says, move the mic a little away from your mouth, Tony. Okay, so move the mic away a little bit.
A little loud.
So you're too loud.
Well, it helps if you can turn it down.
Yeah. Anyways, I had a winner here last year. This was an event where I had no clue what to do. It was my first time ever betting this event, to be completely honest with you, last year. And I had no idea what to do. I was just taking any sort of narrative whatsoever. And to be completely honest with you, I liked the odds on Cam Smith and Mark Leishman last year. I think they were like 25 to 1 or something like that in the I like the fact that they both money somewhere. I like the fact that they both are from Australia, good buddies. And then, to be completely honest with you, just leading up to the tournament, there were a lot of, pictures that I saw on social media, a lot of memes of like they were both wearing like mullets together. Like Mark Leishman was wearing a mullet. So I really enjoyed the camaraderie that those two had. And I was like, why not? That's the narrative that I used to make a bet on Cam Smith and Mark Leishman. And it just happened to work out. But after going through this tournament once last year, I think I kind of have a little bit better feel for this event, as far as like the teams that you want to target in each price range, the teams you want to target for bets. And this is a Pete Dye course that we didn't mention before, but it is a Pete Dye course, Bermuda Greens. So we're definitely going to be relying on some guys that traditionally play well on Pete Dye, traditionally play well on Bermuda. And like Tony said, this is a weird format where on Thursday and Saturday you're playing your own ball, where guys are going to go low. They're going to shoot like 61, 60, possibly even 59. And Friday and Sunday are the days where the scores are not going to be as playing. So just know that going into Sunday, if you have a team in contention, that's better than it was before when the four sums was on the finish on Sunday, where a team could just come back from like 9 strokes back and win the event. So just know that alternate shot is on Sunday. They changed that format, and it's a good event. Each player that wins the event, they get 1.2 million, so it's a lot of money up top. It's 500 FedEx Cup points that they get to share. So this is not it's a joke of event, but these guys are going to take it seriously, especially if they're in contention. So definitely keep that in mind going into the weekend, and just kind of create your own narrative. Like think of the guys that you think are going to have the best camaraderie. We'll talk about that in a second. Who I think is going to have the best camaraderie, and those are going to be the guys that I'm gonna target in DFS and betting this week.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head, man. I think if you get a feeling about somebody, this is one of those tournaments where you can ride.
Throw all the. I feel like you should just throw all the metrics and the statistics and stuff out of the window. We know who the best teams are in the field from a ball striking perspective, but I just don't feel like that really like matters this week. Just go with your gut and take a shot. And if you want to limit your exposure this week, just because it's a weird event, feel free. Limit your exposure. Do what you got to do.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I would say is the other way that I approached it just from an analytics perspective is I kind of looked at a couple things. And again, this goes back to just, you and I playing golf and doing things. But like when you put together teams for scrambles or events like this where two-man scrambles, it's like you kind of want guys who can hit those 10, 15, 20 footers because that's going to be the difference. You might have to hit one of those to save par during an event in the alternate shot event. You might have to hit one of those for birdies. So guys who can putt from distance, I think, is a good key stat. And then the other one for me is just birdies are better. Guys who can score in bunches, right? Because if you're playing, whether it's 4-ball or you're playing alternate shot, if you got guys that can go low, like you might bogey a hole, but if your partner is one of those guys that can score birdies in bunches, right? Like they get hot, like guess what? You're using his score on that hole, or his hot play can cover up for you basically not hitting the ball very well on a certain hole. So, those two things I think are really, really key for me. But, let's jump into it, man. Let's go through at the top of the board. We have got inarguably the best team when I look at from a DraftKings scoring perspective for each of the players, which is kind of how I ranked things out this week. Hovland and Morikawa, clear number one with a bullet. They're 6-1 odds. You've got two guys inside the top 5 in the world in this team. Cantlay and Schauffele next. Defending champions Leishman and Smith. And then I think everybody's favorite play from above $10,000, Sam Burns and Billy Horschel. Do you think you take a team from the top of the board, or do you drop out of this and take 8 and 9K guys?
I am. I'm going to roll with the chalk here, Sam Burns and Billy Horschel.
Yep.
I definitely like them. We know that this is the area of the country that Billy Horschel plays well. He's a Bermuda guy. Sam Burns is a Louisiana guy. He's played this course many times. Short course with Bermuda. It seems like a course that those two can really tear up together. Billy Horschel has won this event as a singles competitor and as a team competitor with Scott Piercy a couple years ago. So definitely love Billy Horschel and Sam Burns. And that's not something I usually say. I really do play Billy Horschel, but when he has the advantage of Sam Burns' length and his putting prowess on the greens, I think this team can really turn it on. From a DFS standpoint, I'm going to bet them for sure. The other team I like up here, I'm just gonna keep rolling with the Aussies here. I know they're priced really high this week compared to last year,
Yeah.
but I really like them. I think they like they're really good friends and they play really well. And this is a different Cam Smith than last year. Cam Smith was already really good, but his game has gone up a certain level in the last year, where I think just get them like within like 10, 12 feet. These two guys can putt the lights out. So Cam Smith, Mark Leishman, a really good team together. So these are the two guys that I'm going to take from the top of the board. I really don't have a feel for Vic and Colin just because they've never played together. We've seen Patrick Cantlay and Xander Schauffele playing Ryder Cups together and stuff like that. But in all honesty, they're just way too boring of a team for me to play.
Yeah.
So yeah. I just don't get excited about playing Patrick Cantlay and Xander Schauffele. They're probably going to finish like 12th and not win you any money. So I'll roll with the other two teams.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I think in a format like this, you also got to ride the hot hand. Cam Smith, other than maybe Scotty Scheffler and Shane Lowry, has been the best player on the planet for the last 3 months. So I agree with you 100% there. And then for the same thing, Billy Horschel has played some of the best golf we've seen him play in years over this stretch. You get him at a course where he's won again, to your point, in this event, and then on his own when it was a regular stroke play event. And Burns, who is a Bermuda specialist, is from Louisiana, LSU guy. Like, I don't know how you can fade those. I think if you're going to eat the chalk, those are both two spots that are great to eat the chalk. And I think you can end up making some pretty good lineups still, even when you're grabbing here guys at above $10,000. So if we drop down to the next grouping here, I mentioned it, play the hot hand, but to lead off the board, Palmer and Scheffler, number one player in the world, Shane Lowry, Ian Poulter. Again, Shane Lowry, maybe the hottest guy on tour who has not won. Tommy Fleetwood and Sergio Garcia. Fleetwood playing better. Team Chile, Neiman and Pereira, who seem to be a fan favorite. Fan favorite number 2, Gooch and Homa, very, very popular. And then the third group to kind of round out that fan favorite narrative is probably Varner and Watson. A lot of steam around the bottom 3 here in the 9K range. But again, I could see a lot of people going, Cam Smith, Leishman, and then Palmer, Scheffler to start their lineups, and then going from there.
Yeah, I agree. Well, there's no hidden guess as to who my favorite team in this range is.
Yeah.
We all know who my favorite team in this range is. I'm going to be overweight on Team Chile here.
Yep.
Joaquin Neiman, Mito Pereira playing together, like two of my favorite golfers on tour. Playing together on the same team. I'm going to bet them. I'm going to be overweight to them on DFS. Beyond them is a little bit challenging for me. Honestly, Tony, I think I'm just going to hop on the train here. I think I'm just going to ride some Scotty Scheffler here. The guy is absolutely phenomenal tee to green, and even if he has Ryan Palmer here to slow him down or bog him down or whatever is the case, I feel like Scotty Scheffler can overpower that. And the fact that they're priced in the 9K range is absurd. Like, how are they priced in the 9K range? I just don't get it. So I think beyond Team Chile, I think I'm going to roll with Scotty and Ryan Palmer as my second favorite team in this range. What about you?
Yeah, I would, but I can't argue against it just because of Scheffler's strength. And the other thing that I wonder is, do you think Ryan Palmer is like married to a Zurich sister, or he has?
I don't get it.
His cousin is the CEO of Zurich, or how does
he
continually play with the number one player in the world every single year?
So we get the Jordan Spieth and the Scotty Scheffler, right? They're Texas guys. Like, I get the Texas ties there. I just don't get how he was able to team up with John Rahm for 2 years. Like, is he like the nicest guy on the planet? Like, do these players just love playing with him? Like, do they?
I have no idea. I
don't get it. Like, I get the Jordan Spieth and Scotty Scheffler ties. They're all Texas guys. They're all UT guys, whatever. But the fact that they played with John Rahm for 2 years, won this event with John Rahm is beyond me. I don't know, but he seems to keep being able to pull in the number one player in the world. He's done it numerous times, obviously. But we'll see how much of a burden, I guess, quote unquote, burden he is to Scotty Scheffler's game, and see if he can cooler him down a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean Palmer's, he has a fourth, a first, and a fourth here, but he played with Spieth when Spieth was the number one player in the world, and Rahm when he was 2 times when he was the number one player of the world, and now he's got Scheffler. So obviously he's had a good partner in every one of his occurrences here at this course. But Palmer's good. I think all the points that I made about the fact that you may not have to depend on him every single hole. He's one of those guys that can get hot and go on runs, and that's really what you need here. You need a modicum of consistency, but you have to be able to go on runs and make birdies in bunches and hit shots. Like that's team golf, right? That's what makes it different, is that, when you're out there trying to win a tournament in stroke play, everything you do, everything matters. And when you're doing alternate shot or you're doing 4-ball, like, you can kind of let things fly. So you'll see guys hit shots that they wouldn't normally do, go for pins that they would never go after, because, hey, you've got a partner who could end up bailing you out. And somebody like Ryan Palmer, who has a pretty high ceiling when he plays well and has a really low floor when he plays poorly, some of that gets mitigated in this format.
Yeah, I totally agree. Are there any of these other teams that you like in this range?
The only thing, I instantly liked Gooch and Homa, but everybody likes them, and they're super chalky. They played here last year, and I think they finished T17 or T14. Again, that may seem pretty good, but when you only have 33 teams making the cut, that's basically like finishing, like T30, T35 after making the cut. So, I can see the narrative around it. I can't get there because they're going to be so chalky.
Yeah, I kind of like Team Jordan here. Bubba and HV3. Team Jordan.
Team Air Jordan, yes.
Yeah, Team Air Jordans. HV3 has been playing good golf, man, and this is another course I feel like suits him pretty well. Bubba has, I believe he has won here in the past as a singles competitor. No, I know he has won here in the past as a singles competitor.
Yeah.
So he has good course history here. HV3 obviously has been playing great. He came so close last week. He's come close numerous times this year. He's won in Saudi Arabia. I kind of like that team, to be completely honest with you. I think they ham and egg their games pretty differently. Like Bubba is good at off the tee, like shaping shots, and HV3 is pretty consistent, like tee to green, stuff like that. So if that team can make a couple putts,
it's obvious. We talked about the chemistry narrative that both guys get along really well. In the event that happened, I think it was in Saudi when Varner won.
Bubba, and then Bubba came and hugged him.
Yeah, but he beat Bubba to win that tournament, and Bubba was the first guy to run out and genuinely congratulate him and get him a hug. And that's just those guys are friends. They're both guys from the South, and that you can tell that there's a real relationship between those two guys. And that's what you want to see in those teams, right? You want to see teams that, to your point, like you pointed out with Leishman and Cam Smith last year, you want teams that get along, that like each other, that when they get in the mix, they're having fun, but that they can come together and actually scratch out a victory here.
Yeah. I 100% agree.
Yep. Dropping down into this next range, there's a number of teams that are very, very interesting, that have a lot of narrative. You've got Zalatoris, Riley, Hatton, Willett, Ben On making his PGA Tour return with Sungjae. There's a ton of teams. There's not a lot of people playing, folks, especially when you get below the top 3 teams that I just named. So I think the question is, if you go chalky up top with a 10K team and with a 9K team, do you just fade the 8K region altogether? And do you think that's going to have some ownership suppression on those top 3 teams that everybody seems to like, which is Zalatoris, Riley, Im, and On? And I guess Hatton and Willett aren't as hot as they were when this thing first came out, but especially the 2 that I mentioned, the Team South Korea, and then Zalatoris and Riley.
Yeah, the site that I use is giving ownership projections. I just don't know how accurate they are. But you are right. Like this range seems to be getting skipped a little bit, which is pretty typical week to week. The people love playing the guys up top, and then they just drop down to the 7K range. I don't know. I really don't like any of these teams, to be completely honest with you. Nothing really tickles my fancy. Sungjae Im, Byung-hun An, I guess a little bit. An's been playing pretty well on the Corn Ferry Tour. I think he's on the verge of getting his tour card back for the PGA Tour. Sungjae's been playing well recently. We know he's a great Bermuda, short Bermuda course like guy. Maybe they can, like we saw with Cam Smith and Mark Leishman last year, maybe they can get this like Korean pride like thing going together. And like obviously we don't really know much of either of those guys' personalities. We know that Byung Hanan's a pretty funny guy on social media, but we don't really know much about Sungjae. But maybe they're really good friends. Like I assume they're really good friends, and that's why they're playing together. And Sungjae is one of those guys that has his choose pick of the litter, and who he wants to team up with. He could have easily teamed up with like Siwoo Kim or something like that. It looks like he's trying to give his boy Byung Eng a chance to get his tour card back here. So I like the camaraderie there. Typically, I'd be the type of guy to go to Wilsey and Davis Riley in the situation. I just don't know how I feel about them. They've never seen this course before. Davis Riley outside of the Valspar this year has been really not playing well. Wilsey, we know, can carry that team if need be, but when it gets to alternate shot, is Wilsey going to be able to make that 4-foot putt, 5-foot putt to keep that team in contention? Other than that, I don't really have any other thoughts about this range, to be completely honest with you. Keegan Bradley, Brendan Steele tickles me a little bit. They're just the same exact player. They're both really long off the tee. They're really good with their irons, and just neither of them can putt worth anything. I don't know, man. What do you think? Like, what are your thoughts here in this range? Like, do you have anyone that jumps out to you?
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that like everybody that you just named, right? The Keegan Bradley Steele team is actually the one that I probably had the most interest in. Steele's played in this event twice, and he has an 11th place finish and a 4th place finish, and the 4th place finish was with Keegan last year. So the fact that team's coming back together, Keegan has been playing better, but Steele's been marketably worse than he's been here the last few years. So, I could see something there. But other than that, it's really hard to get behind anything else. The Sepp Straka Grayson Sig team is interesting. They're Georgia boys. They were good friends and roommates while they were there. So you've got the camaraderie narrative, and then, Team Canada, Hadwin and Svensson. Hadwin has been on fire, and I think that's been somewhat under the radar because there's been so many guys that have been playing really well over this stretch, but he's been playing phenomenally. And Svensson is a guy that we've, you and I have been peppering our DFS lineups for and our betting cards for weeks, months.
If you want to talk about someone that can't make a putt inside 4 feet, forget about Will Zalatoris. This guy cannot make a putt inside of 5 feet. Like I don't get it. Like he is the worst putter. He played so well last week on Thursday. And just came out and I was just following his shot tracker, just cannot make a putt. I don't get it. Maybe Adam Hadwin can roll some putts in for him this week, because tee to green Svensson has been amazing. He just can't putt.
Yeah, oddly enough, when I looked at kind of those distance putts, right, putts between 10 and 20 feet, Svensson's middle of the road. He's ranked 55th in this field. Hadwin's a top 25 guy in that metric. So to your point, maybe if you can move Svensson out, move him out 15, 20 feet, he might be able to actually make half of the putts versus, missing 100% of them inside of 5 feet. But, that's a lot to bet on. And again, I think if you're going to be playing guys in the 8,000s, that's not a 7K guy, right? If Hadwin and Svensson were 7,000s, 76, 700, they'd be ridiculously chalky. But the fact that they're in the low 8Ks here, I think that's going to suppress some ownership. So you might be able to, if you're playing that narrative, the ownership narrative, you might be able to get a break on that. But I can't get here, and I think because you and I both like the construction of grabbing a 10K team and a 9K team to start, I think this grouping is going to be largely ignored. And if I do go here, it's probably going to be the teams that are right at the top. I'm either going to go Zalatoris Riley, or I am going to go Hatton Willett. I kind of like that. If you look, the international teams have had some success here. 2 out of the 4 years international teams have won. 3 out of the last 4 years international teams have finished runner-up. So, the international guys, I think because of the experience playing over there and how they stack up and set up tournaments all the way through, junior golf, they're a little more familiar with this format, and a little more comfortable. So I kind of like that narrative. And if I can get, Hatton and Willett at suppressed ownership, I think that's a good team.
Hatton Willett played together last year, right?
That's a good question. I could let you know.
I
Here, let
think
me see.
I'm pretty sure
Let's see.
that
Hatton and Willett. They only played. I think last year would have been the first time that they've played this tournament. And I'm not seeing Hatton control. Let's see here.
So it looks like Hatton and Willett, yeah, they did play together last year.
Okay.
They finished 8th place. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you can get them at half of the ownership as Zalatoris Riley, and to me, Willsie's a better golfer right now than both of those guys, but both of those guys to me are better than Davis Riley. So I think you're getting a little more stability, guys who've had experience in this. So again, if I can get that at half the ownership, I'll take it.
All right. Let's go to the sevens.
Dropping down into the 7Ks, we've got some familiar names, teams that have played in this event and done well, guys who have played very well with different partners in this event, and some interesting pairings. Like, it was funny because I think in some of the shows that I've watched and the podcasts that I've listened to, just listening to guys, it's like, you wonder how some of these teams come together. Like who puts these teams together sometimes? Obviously there's a narrative of guys who know each other, but like, again, I was thinking like Bo Hostler and Sahith Tagala. Like, I kind of get it, but it feels weird. Like they're both Southern California guys. Like,
I actually know the connection there.
Okay, so let's hear it because I was wondering. That was the one where I was like, why the hell would Sahith play with Hostler?
So, Sahith's caddy and Bo Hostler's caddy went to Pepperdine together.
Okay,
and that's where Sahith Tagala went. And like you said, Bo Hostler is also a Southern California boy, so that's the ties there. I actually efforted that one because that was a weird one for me too.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I like Tagala. I would have. I mean, if like Cam Young and Sahith Tagala all over it, if you get Tagala and your boy, if Anirban Lahiri would have been his partner, I would have been all over that, right? But
Team India.
It just seems like an odd fit. But for me in the 7Ks. This is probably where I'm going to take some risks and get away from the chalkier guys because I do think there are a few options here and guys who have, like I said, shown flashes in this tournament historically. I love the Nora Norlander team. That's like team ball striking. You just hope that they can put it together. Kisner and Brown, they've, almost every single year that they've been in this thing, they finished inside the top 20. Twice, I think they finished inside the top 5. So that's a very good team. Team Mayo, Troy Merritt and Robert Streb are gaining some strength based off of Mayo's narrative. But then you've got my boy David Lipsky playing with Aaron Rye. That's a DP World Tour connection there. I sneakily like that one a lot. And then the other one that I really, really like is Doc Redman and Sam Ryder. I like that team a lot. I was a big Doc Redman guy when he was, pseudo making his run here about a year ago, and obviously Ryder with everything he did in Arizona, and it's been playing, fairly well over the stretch. I like that team a lot too.
Yeah, I agree with those for sure. For me, my favorite play here is going to be it just sounds weird to say, but I really like the Russell Knox Brian Stewart team.
I don't think that's dude. Stewart won here, and Russell Knox has been playing great.
Yeah, I like that team. I also like the Bo Hostler and Sahith Tagala team just because I like both of those guys. I've been playing them this year. And right at the top of the 7K range, if you're going to pick two golfers that really do two things very, very differently and can combine together into one good Frankenstein type golfer, is Keith Mitchell and Brandt Snedeker. I mean, one guy is super long off the tee. Brandt Snedeker is obviously great with his irons and wedges, and they both putt well. And we know Keith Mitchell punches well on Bermuda, so definitely like that team off the top there. Dropping down a little bit more, I also like the Doc Redman Sam Ryder team. I like the Bryce Garnett Scott Stallings team. They played well here last year. They finished 11th here last year, so they did well last year. Scott Brown and Kevin Kisner, we know they have good history here. I think I still remember it. The first year that it was a team competition when Cam Smith and Jonas Blix won. I think it was Scott Brown chipped in on the very last hole to send it to a playoff, and they had to finish the playoff on like Monday morning or something like that. And so we know that Scott Brown and Kevin Kisner have been a good team together for a while now. They didn't make the cut last year. I'm a little hesitant to play them just because Scott Brown is just terrible. He is not a good golfer. So I don't know if he is going to bring this team down like he will, but Kevin Kisner's obviously been playing good golf this year. He has good history at this course. So I guess if you want to take a stab in the betting market with them, I just don't think I could get there DFS wise to play those two guys. And then one other team that I do want to talk about with you, and it feels disgusting to say, but Jason Day and Jason Scrivener. Scrivener has good history at this course. He has good history on Pete Dye tracks. Jason Day has good history on this course. He almost won this event as a singles competition a few years ago. What are your thoughts on Team Australia?
Dude, I can't get there. Scrivener hasn't been relevant for about a year, and Jason Day is he is a shell of the guy that he was. So, I mean, again, I think to the point that we've been talking about over and over again, kind of ad nauseum here, you kind of got to find your narrative and your nuggets with teams, find reasons, right, not to play them or to play them. Yeah. But, I mean, you could do worse. I mean, you got a lot of people that want to play like Higgs and Smotherman this week, and it's like, come on, like, you know, Jason Day's won majors, and he was a world number one player in the world, and he's, you know, down there at the same price as Higgs and Smotherman. So, you know,
I like your model here showing in this range the best team is Joseph Bramlett, Maverick McNeely. I actually like that team a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about, you know, guys who can score birdies in bunches. McNeely gets so hot, especially with the putter, and then they're both very good. Both guys are elite off the tee. So, you know, if both those guys can keep it together with approach, and if they can get a hot putting performance, I mean, dude, they can be in the mix here. But yeah, Mav's one of those guys, man. He scores a bunch of DFS points, and he never really finds himself in the mix to win. But I mean, I could fully see them competing in this tournament. I can't see them winning just based off of, you know, the teams that have won. There's usually a guy who's a top level talent on that team when they win. But, you know, I could definitely see them competing when you got, you know, guys like Kisner and Brown who are, you know, consistently finishing in the top 15 in this thing each and every year. Obviously, they missed a cut, like you said, last year. But, you know, it just shows you, if you can get guys and get hot for a day or two, it can make all the difference in the world.
Yep. All right, let's jump into the dumpster and this thrilling podcast that we're doing.
Well, you mentioned it. You know, this is, if it's ever been the dumpster, this is it this week.
This is the dumpster.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you want to talk about some mishmash, weird teams that are put together here? I mean, dude, this is like, there are bastard children with bastard children. I mean, it's just terrible down here. To be honest with you, there's probably nobody in this range that I really like. You know, Werenski and Uline are guys who have played here and done well. You can see that Brem and Hubbard from a DraftKings scoring perspective, that group ranks very, very high. Both guys score a lot of DraftKings points. So, you know, for their pricing, so I can see why the model likes them there. But I mean, other than that, man, I mean, you know, there's not a ton to love in this area.
No, there is not. Arjun Atwal with Lucas Herbert. What kind of team is that? Like, I don't even get it. Like, where did that come from?
Yeah, that is a weird team right there.
Yeah. I like the Uline Werenski team. I remember playing them last year in DFS. They finished third. So I definitely like that team. Other than that, man, it is not pretty down here. I guess we could maybe go to like some Sung Kang and John Huh, maybe. Kurt Kitayama's been playing all right. He's playing with Kiradech, Jeffrey Barnrath. They could get hot, maybe. It's really like you got to like close your eyes and hope to get lucky if you're going to go down in this range. I would recommend not going down in this range, but if you are going to, you gotta hope you get lucky. I don't really see much that I like, man. I get the Ryan Bremen, Mark Hubbard call. If I was going to go to a team down here, it would probably be them. Chappell has been playing well recently. Him and Han could potentially
Team UCLA, man. Team UCLA.
They could potentially get hot. Team Stanford and Patrick Rogers and Brandon Wu. I don't know, man. It's pretty gross down here. They have people like Tommy Two Gloves Gainey down here, Robert Garrigus off of his fresh commitment to the
Huge
Saudi tour.
announcement.
Yeah, huge announcement. He's going to the Saudi tour. I don't know, man. This is pretty gross down here. Austin Cook with Jason Duffer. Yuck.
But you know,
Bill.
Duff historically has played well in this
Yeah.
event. You know,
I
he's got a
think he's
couple top
actually won
finishes
this
here.
event. Yeah, I think he's won this event. Bill Haas playing with his son Jay, or is it the other way around? Jay Haas playing with his son Bill Haas.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. One name that does pique a little interest for me down here. I hate the fact that he's playing with Michael Kim, is a past winner at this event, is Sung Yul No. He just, I just can't say anything good about Michael Kim. The guy has terrible golf. So maybe if we can ride a Sung Yul No hot course history here, I don't know. I don't have much else to say about this range.
Yeah, I mean, there's really nothing else that I really like here. You know, oddly enough, Chase Seifert was a name last year going into this event who had been playing really hot, and I think they ended up missing the cut. But you know, he's playing with a guy that I was super high on a year ago, which was Lebiota. So they're together. So that, I mean, I don't know, dude. There's not not a lot to love down here. And to your point, I think you should try and avoid it. You'd be much better like playing like, you know, the guys right at the min 7,000, like Hoagie
Absolutely.
and Barjan, like that.
Yeah.
That, like, we didn't talk about him in the last grouping, but that Hoagie Barjan team. I mean, Barjan was
like
playing
that.
well for a stretch, and I mean, dude, Hoagie is drastically underpriced. He's the most underpriced guy for how he has been playing in the 7Ks. So you know, that group there, if you can start your lineup there and build around them as being your, you know, your bottom end team, that's a pretty strong lineup.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, but 6Ks, dude. I mean, you'd be best served to stay away from him in DraftKings. But the only but to that is leave a little money, because one of these teams is going to shoot up the leaderboard in day 1, day 2, and you might be able to catch a live number that's pretty good on one of these teams. So for me, I don't know. I have a lot of like top 5, top 10 bets in this range, but I probably will steer clear in the DraftKings marketplace.
Okay, I don't really have much else to say.
Yeah, well, here, I'll bring up my card because I know we were chatting. You're still putting your card together. You've got some places you want to go, but this is kind of where I'm at right now. I have 3 bets: the you know, Team Chili, Team Z, and then the Hatton and Willett team. Those are kind of the 3 places where you know, I just feel like there's value in the number. And then I bet a number of top 5. Schwartzel is a guy who's found himself inside the top 10, I think, in 2 or 3 renditions of playing this tournament. He's playing with Seabez, so I like them top 5. I took Kisner Brown top 5. Hogue Barjan top 5. Smotherman Higgs top 5. Ryder Redmond top 5. Charlie Hoffman and Nick Watney, who have played very well at this tournament, top 5. And then just a total bomb at 40-1 for a top 5, Kelly Craft and my boy Kevin Tway. That is my card this week, and I will have very limited exposure. I'm in probably at 30% of what I normally in a regular PGA week.
All right. For me, I haven't finalized my card or anything. I will tweet out my final card tomorrow, but I'll just run through some of the teams that I like in each range. At the top of the board, I am going to bet Sam Burns and Billy Horschel. I'm looking at like a 14-1 around them for them. Definitely going to bet Joaquin Niemann and Mito Pereira, looking around 22-1 for them. Definitely am going to be teetering between HV3 team and Beyond M and Sung Jae N team. Going to bet one of those, maybe even both of them. We'll see. The middle range, the only team I really like in this range is Bo Hassler and Sahith Theegala. And then as far as bombs go, we talked about it earlier. I like the Doc Redmond, Sam Ryder team, Harry Higgs, Austin Smotherman, Paul Barjan, Tom Hoagie. I'm seeing at 150-1, which is, like you said, severely underpriced. And then I'll roll with my guys, Peter Uline and Richie Wierenski again, like they did last year, 3rd place.
Yep, I like it. I like all those teams, I like all those bets.
Limited exposure. Like Tony said, leave some money. Say wait till Friday night, maybe even Saturday after the 4 ball, and see you know, if you can find a good number on somebody and maybe fire a couple live bets. And if we do, we'll tweet them out.
Absolutely. That is Riku Mukherjee. I am Tony Altieri. And I think that's it, Rick. I think we're done for the night. Short and sweet. We're going to get out of here. Wish everybody luck. And follow
what's
Rick.
next? What's next week?
Next week. That's a great question. I have no idea.
I have no idea what's next week.
Yeah, I know next week I will be in South Carolina playing in a golf tournament, but I have no idea what's on the slate for next week.
All right, cool. Well, we'll figure it out. We'll put together a show of some sort.
Yep, I'll be on the road, which means I'll have to enlist Mike to produce, which he'll be super pumped on. But we'll put a show together for the tournament, and sure enough, we'll be making picks and throwing out DraftKings advice. So make sure you tune in again next week. Appreciate everybody. Rick, thanks again, man, and everybody, good luck and have a good night.
Good night.